What is this world? Wallahi, my brothers and sisters, what is this world in reality? In reality, ma'alish, let me be straight out with you, man. Am I allowed to speak Quran? Am I allowed to speak Quran? I won't tell you the opinion of some shaykh. He can argue and tell me, Kaz, who's the shaykh? What's his asl? What's his name? Forget it. Quran. Can I speak Quran? Allah Azza wa Jal says about dunya. And He created dunya. So He knows it better than you, better than me, better than anyone. He says, وَمَا حَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. You know what one of the opinion is about مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ? You know what Allah Azza wa Jal is saying this world is? Mata' al-ghurur, my brothers, with all due respect to the sisters that are here. Mata' al-ghurur is a rag the women used to use as a tampon. And it's not just a rag. Allah Azza wa Jal isn't saying it's a rag. He's saying it's a used rag. Yani it's already got blood on it and it's of no benefit to anyone. This is dunya. Not my words, Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying. And He created it, so He knows it for its reality. He says, this is this dunya. This is what you're running after. This is what every one of us, deep down in his heart, is dying for, waking up for, working 12, 13, 14 hours for, bro. This, for use tampon, bro. I wish it's that, bro. We're punching on now because of it. We're going to war on the streets now. Muslims are bluntly killing Muslims. Why? For use tampon. We've sold our deen. Wallahi, we've sold our deen. Go to any masjid you like any masjid for a Fajr prayer, and see how many people choose Allah over dunya. Go! I'm not going to tell you Allah. Go, your own masjid, choose the own masjid you want. Go there for Jum'ah, then go there the next morning for Fajr. And then the same crowd. You know what's funny? You told, Wallahi, brother, deen or dunya? Astaghfirullah, Kaz, what are you calling me a kafir, bro? Deen, brother, deen. Allah comes first in my life. Allahu Akbar, beautiful. You know, my brothers, Allah Azza wa Jal, He's not looking for words. If it's words, we're all awliya here. If it's words, forget it. I'm the biggest afflamja on the face of the planet, bro. I'm on levels. But Allah's not looking for words. What's Allah looking for? Action. Because actions, my brothers, they speak far louder than words. Far louder than words. The same ummah that tells you, brother, I believe in Allah, and I believe that Allah is a Razzaq, and I believe it's Allah who gives and takes dunya. These same people, for Salat al-Fajr, everyone is but then at 6:30 in the morning, he's up on his feet, buying a za'atar manushi with a V and a cigarette, going to work. I'm not saying this is haram, but seriously, what have you chosen? Deen or dunya? The same ummah that says to me, nah brother, it's Allah, 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 for Fajr is asleep. But then when he comes to work, wallahi, if his boss tells him, cuz you gotta be at 3 in the morning, like tikra ma'yunak, bro. What have we chosen, man? What have we chosen? So it's not about, you ask yourself, what have I really chosen? Have I chosen deen or have I chosen dunya? What has gotten the better of me? Rasulullah ﷺ, he knew the reality of this dunya, man. Sometimes people think that, being a Muslim means you have to be a hater for dunya. No. The Prophet of Allah didn't come to tell us to hate dunya, no. He came to expose dunya to its reality. He came to show you how to take the best from dunya and leave the rest of it behind. He came to teach us, and he says in the hadith, he says, "Dunya mal'una wa mal'unun ma fiha." He says, this world is cursed. There's no good in this world, trust me. He says, and whatever in it is cursed, except what? He says, except the remembrance of Allah, more or less. He says, except the remembrance of Allah, or seeking knowledge or teaching, or anything around this. What's this world, my brothers, really? Wallahi, my brothers, you take nothing with you. My sisters, you take nothing with you. This world is temporary. It's temporary. Today you're here, tomorrow you're gone. That's the truth. What did one of the kings of the past, he says to his men, he says, when you bury me and stick my hands out of the grave. He says, bury me naked and stick my hands out of the grave. So his men were amazed. And they said, Kaz, yani, Malish, we understand that you want to go naked, alright. But why stick your hands out of the grave? He says, let it be known that this king, when he left Dunya, he left empty-handed. He took nothing with him, bro. My brothers, wallahi, all your problems and all your dramas and whatever you're going through, it's going to finish as soon as your time in this dunya finishes, man. Harun al-Rashid, one of the great khulafa of this ummah, one of the great leaders centuries ago, yeah? I think he conquered almost one third of the world was under his empire. And then one of the scholars that he was sitting with, he says, look at what we've accomplished. He's telling the scholar, look at what we've accomplished as far as dunya is concerned. So the scholar says to him, he says to him, bro, do you know what the equivalent of your accomplishment, everything you own? He says, do you know what it is in reality? He says, no, what? He says, no, I'll tell you what it is. He says to me, if I invited you over, look at Malish, it's a bit deep, yeah? But think about it. The scholar says to me, look, if I invited you over to my house and I fed you a lot of salty food and you became very thirsty after, very thirsty, and there was no water anywhere. He says, and I possess the only cup of water. He says to him, what would you pay for the cup of water? He goes, bro, I'll give you half my kingdom. For a cup of water. He says to him, what if I give you the water and then you had to go toilet to do a number one and you're busting and you couldn't go anywhere and you're really, really busting. He says, and I was the only one that had the means to allow you to relieve yourself. He says, what would you pay for you to relieve yourself? He says, bro, I'll give you the other half. He says to me, you and all of your kingdom are worth a cup of water and a bit of urine, man. He says, you and your whole kingdom, in reality, what's it worth? You're prepared to give it all up for a cup of water, and a little twinkle at the end, bro. That's the reality, man. That's reality. My brothers and sisters, I'm not here to tell you, wallah, I hate this dunya. No, but take dunya for what it is. It's temporary, man. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was with Abdullah ibn Umar. And he says to Abdullah ibn Umar, young boy. Abdullah was nicknamed what? What was the nickname of Abdullah? The son of Umar ibn al-Khattab. He was nicknamed Majnoon al-Sunnah. That was his name. Majnoon, wacky, crazy. Majnoon al-what? Sunnah. Abdullah ibn Umar followed the footprints of Rasulullah to the T. To the point, he was that bad, good really, but in our terms, he was that bad that once he was walking in a place on his horse. And he was walking and there was some people there and there was nothing there, and as he was walking, he ducked his head down and then he put his head back up. People looked around and said, what is wrong with this bloke? So they said to him, Abdullah, what did you do that for? He says, I remember years ago when I was with Rasulullah, he came to this place, there was a tree right there and there was a branch, and when he was walking, he bent his head down at that point and put his head back up. He said, I didn't want to move. He says, I didn't want to cross that place and not do the action of Rasulullah, even though the tree wasn't there, man. He was that cracked to the point, but the branch wasn't even there anymore. He says, I wasn't going to go past until I bent my head like Rasulullah bent it. And he followed him to the T. Abdullah says, I was a young boy. He says, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he grabbed me by my shoulders. And for the Arabs at that time, when you grab someone by his shoulders, what does it mean? It means, bro, what I'm about to tell you now is very important. So Abdullah is saying, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam grabbed me, bro. Look at this honor, man. He says, he grabbed me by my shoulders and he says, Abdullah, he says, كن في الدنيا كأنك غريب أو عابر السبيل. He says, Abdullah, live in this dunya like a stranger, like a traveler. Abdullah says, Wallahi, from that day on, he says, if I live to see the morning, I never planned on seeing the night. And if Allah gave me life to see the night, he says, by Allah, I never planned on seeing the morning. Look at the example, look at the analogy Rasulullah ﷺ is giving us. A traveler, a stranger. My brothers, have you ever been to a place and you're a stranger? He says, or a traveler. And I love the analogy of the traveler. Why? My brothers, when you travel, my sisters in this dunya, when you travel, what do you take with you, man? Do you take your car? Do you take your house? You take a bag, man. You take a bag. If you're lab, you take a really big bag. But nevertheless, it's a bag. True? It's a bag. Maybe your auntie give you the ghaseli, take it to your uncle in Lebanon. Other than that, really. But in all, what do you take with you? What do you travel with? The necessities, bro. I'm going to an area that I don't know. What do? You usually jump online. What's the weather like there? If it's really hot, do you take winter clothes with you? You might take a jumper in case I get caught out. Minimums, bare minimums. Do you take all your wardrobe? You take what I need, man. That's how you should really live in dunya. The bare minimum, man. What do I need to get by? What do I need to get by? And then he says, what? You're a traveler. He says, this world, he says, he's speaking about himself. He says, my example to this world is like someone walking by, someone who's traveling. He sees a tree. Someone's walking in the desert. He sees a tree. He says he takes some rest under the tree, takes some rest for an hour or two, and then picks himself up and continues on. He says that stay, those 2 hours of rest, he says that's my dunya, man. But if I told you I went to Dubai airport and I bought a house, I started looking for a wife, opened up a business, and my connecting flight is in 4 hours. Yeah, tell me, bro, you're a spinner. Wallahi, we're laughing because we know. Connecting flight is when? 4 hours. Wallahi, 4 hours is a long time. No one here is guaranteed 4 minutes. My brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He designed dunya in such a way, it can never please you. The only time you will ever see true happiness is where? Is in Jannah. This world can never satisfy the hunger of man. I'm sure everyone here, to one point or another, even if you're old, young, every one of you has walked through these shoes. I was convinced beyond all doubt the misery in my life is because I can't drive. I need a license. Does anyone here remember the first car they bought? They're the biggest POS on the face of the planet, bro. The biggest heap of crap. But I drove that thing like it was a Lamborghini Gallardo, bro. In the streets until they called you a grunk. Did you care? Honestly, did you care? Like, call me what you want, bro. I'm cruising around. Leather system in my car was worth more than the car. I can't keep doing this. Cause wallahi, bro, Allah, as soon as I get married, I'm gonna give my life to deen. How many times you heard that, man? How many sisters? Wallah, as soon as I get engaged, wallah, I'll start wearing the hijab. Have you heard that one? These are the tricks of dunya, man. The sister thinks that if I cover myself, Allah will deprive me of a husband. So what should I do? Let me fall in sin to do something halal. Brothers are now falling in sin, falling in haram. The brother has neglected his deen, neglected salah, lost all hope, all yaqeen in Allah Azza wa Jal, because I need to get married. And up until I get married, I'm not going to pray, I'm not going to fast, I'm not going to go to the masjid. My happiness, my problems, my dramas is in the fact that I'm not married. But if you're single, please, go to anyone who's married, especially the older guys, tell him, cuz, did you find happiness in marriage or you didn't find it? And he'll tell you the truth, bro. He'll tell you the truth. Did you hear the joke? A young boy goes with his mother, they went to a wedding. This is new to him. So he goes to the mum, his mum goes, how come the bride's in white? She goes, this is the best day of her life. This is the day she's been waiting for. This is the day of happiness. This is the day of joy. This is the day of... So, so why is the groom in black? Wallah, because it's... And that's the truth, man. That's the truth. Every one of us here is convinced that cuz when I get married, I'm going to find happiness. And I walk those shoes. People start telling me about what? The honeymoon. You heard that? Honestly, look how nice the name is, eh? Honeymoon. Me, on my honeymoon, bro. 3 days into my honeymoon, wallahi, I wanted to throw off from the hotel room, bro. Open the window and just do those ones. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this. Babe, I'm not having a go at my wife. That's the reality, man. That's reality. How many of us now, we're having marriage problems? Why? Because we didn't think beyond the marriage. We didn't think beyond the wedding day. I got married, yeah, and so what do I do now? My brothers and sisters, your happiness, wallahi, is not in these things, man. Yes, we get married. Yes, we work. Yes, we buy a car to get on with life. Yes, I might buy a house if I can afford it through halal means. Yes, to shelter my family. Of course, this is all, you know, these are all the requirements of life. Yes, we do these things, but not at the price of sacrificing my deen, man. Never, ever put dunya before deen. Never. Wallahi, my brothers, how many of us, because of work, how many Muslims on a weekly basis, they miss Jum'ah? Why? Because my boss doesn't let me go, man. My boss doesn't what? My boss doesn't let me go. Or because of uni, they miss Jum'ah. Why? Because my boss or my teacher, whatever, doesn't let me go. Muslims that are stuck in jobs where they're not allowed to grow their beads. He actually wants to grow it. I'm not talking about the guy who doesn't want to grow it. That's a different story. This guy actually wants to grow it. But because of his job, you know, his boss, you know, cuz look, you know, I work as a concierge, you know, I have to deal with people and it's not really befitting. Allahu Akbar, man. My brothers, let me tell you something. Do we worship Allah or do we worship dunya, man? You know what it means to worship? Many of us, when we say, you know, this guy worships dunya, we think what? That this guy, he puts a $100 note down on the floor and he makes sajda to it. No. You know what it means to worship? It means to obey. To worship someone is to what? Is to obey him. So when my boss says to me, get up at 7, and I'm up at 7, and Allah tells me, wake up at 4, and I don't wake up at 4, who do I obey? Who? When boss says to me, no Jum'ah, Allah says to me, Jum'ah, and I don't go to Jum'ah because who do I really obey? Allah or dunya? So when I obey dunya and I don't obey Allah, am I worshipping Allah or am I worshipping dunya? Jibreel says to Muhammad, he says, Ya Muhammad, ish ma shi't. O Muhammad, O Messenger of Allah, live for as much as you desire. Eventually you will what? You will die, man. He says, you will die. He says, O Muhammad, love whoever you want. Eventually you will what? You will depart. He says, O Muhammad, do as you please. Eventually you'll be held accountable and responsible for your actions, man. Yesterday we were young, healthy, fit, good looking, whatever. Now we're starting to feel pain in our knees. Now we're starting to get some white hairs coming out. Now we're starting, tomorrow you're gone, man. And that's the cycle, bro. My brothers and sisters, we need to make deen our focus. Scholars give a beautiful, beautiful analogy. And I really want to share it with you, yeah? They say, imagine deen was the sun. And your shadow was dunya. They say if you take the deen, so the sun, and you throw it behind your back, meaning you make it the least of your worries. Where's the sun now? Behind me. So where's my shadow now? It's in front of me. They say if you throw deen behind you, the sun, your shadow will be in front of you. And no matter how fast you run after your shadow, you'll never catch it. Why? Because it's ahead of you, man. No matter how much you run after this dunya, my brother, you'll never ever ever catch it. But then they say, you know, if you grab this sun, if you grab the deen and you put it in front of you and you make that your focus and you make that your priority, where's your shadow now? Now it's running after you, isn't it? Now it's chasing you. And that's the reality. When you make deen your focus, you make Allah Azza wa Jal your focus, deen, dunya will run after you. And then any time you want your dunya, I don't have to go far, bro. I turn around and I pick it up, it's there. After one of the battles, one of the companions, you know, after the battle, the companions used to take the booty of war, whatever was left, the gold, the silver, the knives, whatever was left, swords. So one of the companions, and for companions, this was the most halal money. So anyone you killed, you took whatever he had. So companions used to take this and then they used to trade amongst one another. So one of the companions, he traded so much till he made the most money on that day. He made the most money. So he comes to the Prophet of Allah, he's happy. He says, "O Prophet of Allah, no one today was more successful than me." Meaning what? No one made more money than I did. So Rasulullah look at our teacher, man. He sees what? He sees now that he's somewhat being affected by dunya. So what does the Prophet of Allah do? He redirected him. He says, "No, I know someone that made more money than you." So the companion says, no, Prophet of Allah, trust me, I know, cuz I was on the battlefield. I dealt with everyone, I traded with everyone, and I made more money than everyone. He says, no, I know someone that made more. He says, "O Prophet of Allah, who?" He says, anyone that prayed 2 rak'at, nawafil, like that, sunnah, lillah ta'ala. Anyone that prayed 2 rak'at, it's worth more than the world and what it contains. Worth more than the world and what it contains. And that's the truth. We know the reality of dunya. We know the reality of dunya. Our hearts burn when money is taken away from us. And I give this example. If wallahi, if anyone here had an AMG or had an M5, whatever it is, some hectic car, bro. You bought a hectic car and I bought it and it wasn't insured and I parked in front of my driveway and the next morning I woke up and some odd day burnt it for me, bro. Yeah? Someone burnt it for me, yeah? Automatically your heart, what? Come on, bro. Wallahi, that's a burner. Wallah, that's a burn job. But if I missed Fajr that morning, honestly, would you be upset? Come on, cuz, it's alright, bro. It's only a sunnah, you don't have to do it. Don't be so hard on yourself. Allah Ghafur Rahim, man. You cry for the car. You cry when someone scratches your car, you cry. But the ummah is missing Fajr. Rasulullah he says the sunnah of Fajr, never mind Fajr. He says the sunnah of Fajr is worth more than the world and what it contains. And we're missing it on a daily basis. Is anyone there to cry for it? So my brothers, we need to wake up to reality of things, man. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to bring the reality of dunya into our hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put the love of Him and His Prophet and His deen into our hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from the people of Firdaus al-A'la.